What is going on, guys? It's your boy here again, Dean, and I want to talk today about a very sensitive topic for a lot of people, and that is cheating in card games. How prevalent do we think it is, and what can we as players do to prevent it? And what's really bringing this on is, it's something that's always in your head, and you want to talk about a little bit, but how you don't want to touch it's a very sensitive topic, right? But YouTube recommended me this video the other day, reacting to an unhinged cheater. This is from Pleasant Kenobi or whatever. I don't really watch this guy. I'm not subscribed, see? Big channel, though. Uploaded 3 days ago, and he talks about some Reddit post that we'll kind of look at for a second. His video, though, is referencing a Reddit post from October 25th or 23rd, 2023. Over a year and a half old at this point. Basically, this is a guy who claims he cheats at all of these big events, and everyone cheats. One, I don't believe that. I don't believe that everyone cheats, but I'm going to go over it, some of the things that people could try to do, and why we want to try to stop that. Yeah, and then there's a bunch of garbage that we don't really care about, but what we do care about is he says that cheating is easy, and that is probably true, because there's a lot of things that, this is why you, as a player, need to know that they don't have to be Penn and Teller level to be cheating. And you need to just, actually pay attention to the game and know what your opponent is doing, and always make sure that they clarify if something is confusing to you. Because, he says, you don't have to cheat. You don't have to stack your deck. You can cheat by making mistakes that benefit you right here. For getting trapped. So, I don't want you as a player to go to a tournament and think, oh, no, my opponent forgot to heal, or they forgot, a damage or something. They forgot to demerit or something. Oh, well, they're obviously cheating on purpose. It's not always true, but when this does come up, right, let's say I'm thinking Latica right now in Shadowverse. Latica has the hunter guy that puts a Natura tree, or if you're playing Machina Haven, you have Marlone, and some people, they haven't played the story mode, they don't understand that these people are not the actual traits that they're supposed to. Marlone is a traded card in Shadowverse Evolve. He has Faith trait, but the entire deck is built around Machina, and he puts one of the Machina cards into your EX area and your opponent's EX area. Somebody might play a card that says grab a Machina or search for a Machina, and they might add Marlone because they just didn't read the card. That's fine. Don't think that your opponent is cheating, but also do not be afraid. Call the judge. Call the judge. When they do that, you maybe say, hey, you cannot do that play. Okay. And if they make it a second time, then you can go, okay, well, now judge. My opponent first, they played Marlone, right? They tried to grab this, and another time they also did this other illegal play. And I just want this to be taken down so that my opponent maybe gets a warning. And this way, you will not infringe on their ability to enjoy the tournament. And now they also know they need to be aware. But going forward, if this person is trying to cheat and they start, trying to get Marlone against someone else, and that person calls a judge as well, that person now gets an actual game loss, right? So you don't crucify people for honest mistakes, but you do correct them, and then you leave it up to the judge and the next person down the line if this person continues to do this, and it's then they start to be penalized. And then there's a bunch of garbage in here other than hey, this is true. You need to actually pay attention to what your opponent plays. Call your opponent. This is a good one. This is in the middle of talking a bunch of scum and garbage about cheating. If your opponent keeps making mistakes, call them out on it straight and tell them they're too good of a Magic player, so too good of a card game player to be making these mistakes, and you call judge for the next one. This is true. I think you should be calling out your opponent if they start to do things that are, consistently wrong. Oh no, maybe a recent stream with a certain player where Octress randomly got evoed on a 10-card grave and then realized the mistake and then went back over that. It's okay, wait, what's going on? I do think that, yeah, you should be hey, making mistakes, we should try to fix this. But I want to go to a different view and kind of show you guys with some physical cards some of the things your opponents can do, and talk about the things you can do to protect yourself from these potential cheats. Okay, so right here I am. I've got an actual real deck of cards, and I'm going to kind of talk about some of the things your opponents could do and why we need to
There's certain things that we need to actually implement in order to stop this type of cheating, because it's very easy to stop. It's all about you doing the due diligence to actually prevent it yourself. So first up is the like fake shuffle. Oftentimes what people will do is when they shuffle, they just won't move the bottom card of their deck, or they'll just do a couple overhands until they find out where the bottom card of their deck is. And at the end, they'll do some like fake things. They'll just do something to make sure that this card, like the actual card that was on the bottom, when they were looking at it, goes to the top. There's two different ways to prevent this, and you should probably be doing both of them. One is you just need to mash your opponent's deck. As soon as they offer the cut, you always shuffle this. Every single time, you never tap. The second you tap, you've allowed your opponent to potentially cheat. That's why it's in the rule book. Hey, you need to shuffle your opponent's deck. But then the counter argument is, hey, wow, if I went to go, cut my opponent's deck, if my opponent went to go shuffle my deck, what's preventing them from stacking my top card to be something that's potentially bad? That's why you should ask your opponent to either, I wish I had the ability to move the camera, but look you in the eyes. I think that you should never look down at the deck while shuffling or cutting either your own deck or your opponent's, because this just prevents this cheat altogether. You should either look them in the eyes or look at the ceiling. You should never look down at the deck, and your opponent should also provide you the same courtesy, just to know that, hey, nothing weird is going on. There's no potential for them to look at the bottom card and then potentially do something weird with it. That's really all it is. All you have to do is just make sure they're not looking at this card. As long as they're not looking at this card, they're probably not cheating. And as long as you shuffle it after, then there's no room for it. So it's good enough. The other one, this is more of I don't know if it's Pokemon. In Magic, it's big, and in Weiss Schwarz, it's big, and that's weaving. It's like mana weaving. Weiss Schwarz had this problem for a while where people would, the climaxes, these are like the lifeblood of the game, and you don't care about any one of them. You care about where they're distributed in the deck. Think like, man, I want to hit on all my Pompous Princesses, so at the beginning of the game, I put all of my 1-drops here, and then I shuffle them in. And the idea is that because they were all together, if I do like a certain amount of overhands, they should be evenly distributed. That one, I think that one, the mashing your opponent's deck is like a little bit of the fix, because the way that we shuffle is always inherently, it's slightly flawed when a human shuffles. Let's just be honest. You just need to ask your opponent, please don't do that. Like if you see your opponent's like sorting a card out at the beginning before doing their overhands, you could probably call a judge. And if it's not inherently against the rules, usually I find if I ask my opponent, like back in the day when I played this game, like, hey, please don't like sort your cards that way, usually gets it done. The other cheats are like, they've got the distraction cheats. There's a bunch of other cheats that are like a lot harder. Just make sure that you watch your opponent where they put their cards. If they put their hand down and they're picking up their grave, make sure it's something I keep seeing from like people on like Pokemon and other streams. Don't let them. If they have their hand, make sure their hand is like over here and not like they're not doing something like this. I see garbage like this in Pokemon streams, all the cheater caught videos. It's always something where your opponent's hand goes here and then they put they pick up their grave and they put it here. Don't let your opponent do that. So there's a lot of things where you just need to like watch your opponent, and if they start to do something weird, just go, please stop. Like it's really that simple. Because at the end of the day, you can stop a lot of the cheats from most of the people just by like kind of watching them. And then of course, managing the game state, always watch like what's happening, be aware of what your opponent can and can't do, and make sure to read their cards if you don't understand, or have them walk you through what's happening if you don't fully understand, and try to follow along, because chances are it's a lot harder for them to cheat as long as you're actually engaged in the game. In order to get back to some better audio quality, I think I'll swap out of this room real quick.
So basically, in order to stop cheating, usually it's in person. You just need to stay on top of the game state. Ask your opponent to do a couple of common courtesies for you. Make sure they're not like looking down at your deck too much. Just don't give them the opportunity to cheat. It's not that they are, but better safe than sorry, right? Because like a single person cheating against you in a tournament could cost you the ability to top 8 when it could be your day, right? Like just one guy doing this to you, and I go to a lot of tournaments, right? So it's like I play like probably close to 150 tournament games a year minimum, and just like that one person that one day is all it takes. Suddenly you go from an X1 to you go from a 6-1 record to a 5-2. You get 13th place. Why'd you get 13th place? Because one guy cheated against you. It's the only guy that cheated against you, but it was the one time that it mattered. That's why you just do your best to prevent them from doing such a thing. And usually it's pretty easy to catch a lot of it. Now, there is one more thing I do want to talk about, and that is online tournaments. I think you're just cooked. I think you're just cooked. Don't play online. Don't play online if there's an actual price support. I think that online is the actual worst thing possible for competitive card games. The most wild shit happens. You got foot pedals. You got like cards coming off screen. You got people playing less than like the legal deck size. And it is just consistent. And there's not a goddamn thing you can do about it. Your opponent can just cheat like crazy, and there's almost no way you are ever going to catch them. So while I say like in person you can do your due diligence, I honestly say, if like, I'm sorry Bandai players, I'm sorry people, like we had the Bro for Bushi Road, Konami had a couple online tournaments. Bandai is the only, I don't know if other companies have it, but Bandai's the one I hear about still, where they still have online tournaments, and then they get shit like foot pedals between live and pre-recorded feeds, so you can like go, here's my pre-recorded video of me, and then here's I swapped to that, and then I pick up my grave, and then I fucking move my cards around, and I just cheat out the ass. It's like, I don't know how you stop that. I think it's just you're supposed to avoid it. I think like don't take any online tournament seriously, and companies, please do not put price support behind any online tournament that involves webcams. Please have an official client if you're going to be doing that. So yeah, in person though, very not easy, but like just know when you go to a tournament, if there is price support, you need to lock in, play clean, watch what your opponent's doing, ask for verification, and hopefully you won't be cheated against. Hopefully you don't even need to, like, hopefully you don't have to correct anyone. Hopefully nothing weird happens. But as long as you follow those, you shouldn't be cheated against, and that's what's really important. But yeah, sorry, it's a little bit more negative, but it's also very positive, because I think that we as a community can overcome a lot of these people. When these people are found out, we just need to remove them, simple as. Yeah, stay tuned until next time. Until then, this is your boy Dean signing out.